Storey, DUP MLA for Northampton and Chairman of the Assembly Education Committee. The issue of how we spend our money will be determined upon the number of schools that we actually have. And I think that if we look at the number of schools, but not just so much the number of schools, number of sectors within those schools, then I think that that's a challenge for us. And obviously the comments of the First Minister some time ago has initiated a debate around delivering a single education system for Northern Ireland.
How big a contribution do you think shared and integrated education could make to a more cohesive and peaceful society?
I think that it's a vital component of how Northern Ireland continues the journey that it has commenced. I think that those in the integrated sector were having this engagement whenever we were at the very height of the troubles in Northern Ireland, and there were those who had a genuine attempt at trying to bring together our community.
Well, I think in the system we have, the sectors have grown up independent of each other, and they have their own values and ethos, which is a good thing. And I think that can be protected, but it needs to be protected in a new mindset, that they're going to have to share services, they're going to have to share buildings, institutions together, and that in its own self brings opportunities and advantages to our education system. Now, there is examples across the north where that is happening. The budget and the lack of money in public services, I think, is going to be a driving force behind that again.
We support parental choice, whether it's for integrated, controlled, maintained or Irish medium. I do realise that there are cost implications to that particular policy, but I think it is possible to manage it in such a way to control those cost implications and to make the provision of choice much more cost effective than it is at the moment. And we have spoken to various education partners, and they have said that they are not averse to sharing, to integrating school services to a greater extent in the future.
I personally am committed to integrated education. I believe it is the long-term solution for the issues that face Northern Ireland.
All public services are working in a context of dire financial circumstances, so how would you address that problem in terms of education?
Well, I think it's coming now to the fact that we're going to have to find a way of sharing resources. It's simply, although we've had reports in the past, there's always been a tendency to keep as diverse a school estate as possible, and frankly we're getting to the stage where it just isn't possible financially.
I don't believe we'd need more money if the education system was properly organised, but that would involve a level of cross-sectoral cooperation which doesn't exist at the moment. So for now we have to try and work within the budget that we have, and that's a question of cutting the cake appropriately. It's not easy.
How big a contribution, aside from the economic question, how big a contribution do you think sharing and integration can make to a more cohesive and peaceful society in Northern Ireland?
I think it's absolutely basic. The problem of keeping our children apart through their education, right through the university, still exists. I mean, we have successes. We have the establishment, I think it's 22,000 pupils now in integrated education, and a measure of sharing in other schools, but it's still the case that 90% are educated separately.
If you look at one geographical area that I can think of, and you have 4 different types of schools in that one area, is there a need for 4 different types of schools, or is there a need for one large school with all the resources from the 4 invested in it? I would say there's a need for one large school. I'm a secularist. I believe in the separation of church and state, and I don't believe that churches should have any influence in the education of our children. I think if churches want children educated in a particular faith, then they should fund that education themselves.